Hello, everyone. My name is Emil, and together with my co host Ezra's, we are a look beyond the continent. Our last few episodes have been reviews of the latest card reveals from the Harvest of Sorrow expansion of Gwent, of course, our favorite competitive card game. Today, we are reviewing Skellige, which also happens to be Ezra's favorite faction. We have four cards that have been revealed, which are the Messenger of the Sea, Little Havfru,
Yeah,
Fukusia,
HAUFRUE.
and RIOGHAN the Undying. I could have probably butchered those names, but I did my best. So, Ezra, this is your favorite faction, Skellige. You were really excited for this drop. What are your initial thoughts? Are you loving the cards? Me personally, I think the artwork is amazing. So, kudos to the artists, especially for this expansion. I think all the artwork's been so great and it was really fitting for each faction. I feel like they're all on a little bit on the darker side, except for maybe Scoia'tael. But of course, it's the Witcher universe. Everything's a little bit dark. So yeah, tell us what are your initial thoughts? What are you loving?
Yeah, like you hit it right on the head. The artwork for Skellige, they've blown the entire expansion out of the water in terms of how they look. I don't think any other faction has come close to how these cards look. It's almost like the people at CDPR are just, you know, Skellige lovers in terms of let's make, these cards look the best art wise, and sometimes even their effects are, insane. So it's really nice to see that Skellige is not being ignored this time in terms of card art or what they can do. We've had up and down uh, love from them since Warriors came out a long time ago last year, and that basically shaping the meta for a long time. And then we had the whole Witcher meta kind of with them, and then now this is just kind of going into like the Beast archetype and more of like rain storm settings. And I think this just gives Skellige like the most flexibility out of all the other factions as to what they can play. Because they can all have every faction can have competitive decks, but most of the time they're all going to be some way or shape similar. Skellige seems to have a lot of diversity when it comes to what they can play.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we can see here that, as you mentioned, it's the beast archetype. They're focusing on the sirens this time. As you mentioned last time, it was the warriors, and then they gave some attention to witches. So it's very exciting to see some of the beasts getting a bit of love for Skellige. So with that said, let's delve deeper into the cards. So let's start off with the Messenger of the Sea, which is a beast. It's a rare card. It's 6 provision cost and 4 points. So the ability is whenever rain or storm damages enemy units, boost self by the damage dealt. And little thing here with the tagline, it says a cute little nightmare. And you see this siren. It looks like a young siren, and she's holding like a little shell, like looking all innocent. But she's probably sending a message. But yeah, again,
Definitely,
she
like don't mess with me, all right? Like,
don't mess with her. A cute little nightmare. So
yep.
you know what? Initial thoughts of this card, I straight away I'm like, right, this is a really good bronze engine.
This is okay. So I don't think so. What season or expansion did you officially start in? I
I
believe
couldn't,
it was probably this one, right?
I couldn't tell you because it's a bit of a blur. But I started around March, April properly, so that's when I really started paying attention to Gwent.
Okay, so yeah, that was probably.
I think it would have been the start of this one, to be honest. The price of
Yeah, I was
power.
gonna
Yeah,
say because it's been like every other month. We're in September now, almost October. Last expansion was in June.
yeah. So I think maybe the
Yeah,
one.
kind of. Yeah, maybe just a little bit before it. Maybe part of like of the the Witcher expansion.
Mhm.
Maybe the tail end of that. But anyway, so back in Master Mirror last year, which was like around Christmas, somewhere around there, November. Um, a lot of the Skellige cards did not do what they do now currently.
Mhm.
Um, Greatsword being one of them. Greatsword used to actually have an insane ceiling for points. It was whenever an enemy takes damage, boost this card up. by however much damage that it takes. Um, so now, like, this card is basically that, but weaker. Because it looks like it's gonna have like, you know, a very high ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
As long as rain or storm is damaging it, it's just gonna keep going up, 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 up.
But it also
So this could be a
mentions
very insane engine.
that whenever rain or storm damages enemy units, and with rain, right? And I'm not 100% sure, but correct me because I know you're a good Skellige player. But with rain, it's a random damage 1 and times 3. Is that correct?
It's two, so it's
Times 2.
yeah, it's random units by 2 every turn at
Okay,
the start of
so
their owner's turn.
yeah, so with Messenger of the Sea, you could potentially, if you for each turn, she would boost by 2. So she's kind of reminiscent of the Witch Apprentice from Monsters. So you know how the Witch Apprentice boosts itself by 2 at the end of each turn. So with this one,
Kind of like Piggy.
yeah, it would boost itself if there was rain, obviously. But I mean, if you're gonna play these cards, you just go all out with the rain/storm.
Yeah, like
To
this
get
is
full
gonna be
value.
a full-on rain/storm, uh,
But
type of deck that you're gonna want to run her in. But like rain is two units per turn. But storm, if you happen to turn Fulmar,
mm-hmm.
into a lot of rows of rain into storm, then she's technically getting boosted by however many units are taking damage down on that row. So that could be, you know,
A lot.
5, 6, 7, up to 9 points a turn, for every damaged unit. And then also it's like it's boost self by the damage dealt. So it's not just um, it's basically like she's coming down on deploy like 6 points right away. It's like it's not easy for her to get answered,
Mm-hmm.
quickly.
Yeah. I mean, if you saw this straight away on the board, and you know that your opponent's gonna be playing the rainstorm package, you would want to remove her pretty quickly. I mean, it's the same when I see Witch Apprentice. It's like, I need to get rid of that, or deny them of Sabbath. That's the only way. Otherwise, this engine keeps ticking over and it gets pretty tall really quick. The only downside of that, obviously, if the taller the unit, tall punish
The higher
is.
the tall punish. Yeah.
So again, yeah, I mean, I think this is such a cool card. I think the premium is going to look great, and yeah, a
Oh
really
yeah.
good little engine, cute little nightmare.
Every expansion so far that I've seen where these cards look like they're gonna look just from their basic art. I'm like, yep, I'm gonna premium that right away. Last expansion, I went and made all the Skellige premiums. I'm
Did
gonna do it
you?
again this time. Yeah,
Oh, you love Skellige that much. Yeah, I'm still at the
yeah.
stage of collecting all the cards for my collection, so still not yet at trying to make everything premium.
When I laid eyes on Melusine, I was in love. I'm like, yep, premium. By the way, right
As
away, she's premium.
you mentioned Melusine, so obviously as we delve more into these cards, we're already seeing the synergies that can work really well with the cards that came out in the previous expansion, Melusine, Fulma, Tears of Siren. We can definitely see there's like this combo package that this your deck would be basically all of these cards put together, and these cards just work so well. So I think for Skellige fans, I think when these dropped, I remember you messaged me and I read it overnight, and you were so excited for these cards. But yeah, I
Oh
think
yes.
Skellige didn't get a lot of love, probably in the last expansion or two, and it kind of was one of the, I would say, weaker factions. I don't want to offend anyone by saying
No, no,
that,
I
but
agree. It was in a state where it's like, okay, Melusine is a card you're gonna want to answer right away, and she plays for a ton of value every turn. Being able to stack rows of rain. But then she was, self-damaging units to the left and to the right of her, and then also self-damaging herself to also put more stacks of rain on, and then her base power would go up for +2. And then, it always was very scary to know that if you were going up against monsters and Melusine was in the graveyard with 20, 25, 30 base points of power, Oh, that made good food for Ozzy. I was actually very scared going against monsters with
Mm,
while playing that deck.
yeah.
Or even a
Osrel.
squirrel. A squirrel would play for an insane amount of points and it was able to banish her.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So let's move on to the next card. It's a common card, and it is. I think I butchered it before, so maybe I'll leave you to read out the title.
Yeah, I think it's pronounced Little HAUFRUE.
HAUFRUE.
Sounds like that
Okay.
would be it. Yeah.
So little HAUFRUE is a beast. So the ability is a deploy and is bonded. Again, the keyword bonded here. Obviously, we've seen the bonded keyword get some love. This expansion increase this card's base power by 2. And its order ability, damage self by 4, and spawn rain for 2 turns on an enemy row.
Seems good.
I
8
think
for 4.
it's, yeah, I think this is a good bonded card. We were talking about Syndicate in the last episode, and we didn't feel that it was, you know, that, I don't want to say it wasn't good, but when you compare it to Little HAUFRUE, I think a Little HAUFRUE is slightly better. It's got a better advantage.
Oh, yeah.
It's spawning rain, which obviously synergizes with the other cards within this expansion and from the last expansion. So, and again, you can use Mushy Truffle if you wanted to spawn a third copy of this card.
Like I say, it's got a good points. It's 8 for 4. It has synergy with Messenger of the Sea. Has synergy with stacking more rain for Melusine or even Fulmar. Like I have nothing bad to say about it, and it's not because I'm being biased or anything like that. Like it's actually a good card. It's 8 for 4 if it has bonded, which is
Mm-hmm.
really good, and then damage itself by 4. But then you're also factoring that it's spawning rain for 2 turns, so it's still getting 8 for 4 because it's spawning 4 points of damage for 2 turns.
I just had a quick little question. So with Melusine, you mentioned that she damages herself, and if she damages the ones to the adjacent to her,
Jason, yes,
she refreshes. Oh, so I was thinking, does it work with the new beast cards if you were to place beast cards next to her? And the answer is actually no. It has to be a cultist in
it
order for
has.
the
Yeah,
order to refresh. So I think that is I don't know, it would have been, do you think it would make sense to make it so that it was a beast? Because then,
no, because I believe the lore is like Melusine was the goddess that the cultists look up to
okay,
or
yeah,
they worshipped. So
okay,
they would sacrifice the people to her. So it kind of makes sense, if we want to go lore wise. That's
yeah,
why in the card art for Offering to the Sea, it's the Bride of the Sea that's being offered to Melusine. So yeah,
okay, that
so
makes
like
sense.
it's yeah,
That makes sense. So yeah, you would, if you were to play this as a package, you would obviously include some of the cultists in there, these new cards, and I can already see this kind of deck being a little bit OP. What do you think?
yeah. No, yeah, like I think Rain is this is the kind of support that they needed. Um, like Melusine and was enough to kind of win the game with Dagger and all that, that kind of synergy. But they both played into tall punishes. This is more of like, okay, let's have a little bit of mid range point slam, but it's also let's have control
Mm-hmm.
with the rain and the storm,
Yeah.
which is kind of nice because you can play these cards and you don't play that tall,
Mm-hmm.
um, like you were with Dagger and Melusine in terms of what they were playing for.
And also with the Messenger of the Sea, it's such a great engine. Like I'm a big fan of this card. I just think it reminds me of The Witch Apprentice, and it's just like a 6 provision cost, something you can put 2 of in your deck if you wanted to, and leave it ticking away in the background while your opponent tries to answer the other cards that come down. And then there's sometimes those bronze engines get overlooked, especially if you play them, straight away. And then by the end of the round, it's so tall that your opponent's like, I don't know how to get rid of this card. So I think it's got great potential. the bonded card, Little HAUFRUE. I think that's great too. So all in all, I think so far this is really great for Skellige. So you must be really happy about this.
You have no idea.
If you're
I
listening
can't
to
wait to
this
play
as
these cards.
if you're listening to this as a podcast and you can't see Ezra's face, he's got a big smile on his face.
This is a dream come true. Let's just say that it's so good to see this faction on top again, in my opinion. They've been in the dumpster for the past few seasons, so I'm happy to see that they're gonna have some busted cards for a little bit.
Some busted cards. We all love some busted cards, don't we? So let's move on to the next card. It's an epic card, and it is RIOGHAN, the Undying. I could be pronouncing that wrong. I did look this up.
Maybe
but I
maybe,
think it was
maybe pronounce RIOGHAN, or maybe
RIOGHAN.
RIOGHAN.
Or yeah. Anyway, if
RIOGHAN,
anyone knows,
yeah.
please correct us, because yeah, we probably are butchering this name. He is a human, cursed, cultist, and pirate. So he falls under 4 categories. So this card
Except
starts
for a warrior, so he can't be tutored with blood evil.
This card starts in your graveyard. So when I read this, I was like, wow, I can't believe a card is starting in the graveyard. So just straight off the bat, before I finish on what this ability is, does that mean at the start of the game, this card will start in your graveyard? So you know how your Sunset Wanderer starts in the most left position in your hand?
Yes.
Always, like no matter what, whatever you draw, it's just going to start there. Is this what's going to happen for us? He's going to start in the graveyard no matter what at the start of the round. Sorry.
Yep. So yeah. Not only does he start in the graveyard, but it's actually thinning your deck by 1 before you even start the game.
You started with 24
so
cards.
crazy.
Okay.
Yep.
So when played or summoned from your graveyard, trigger all remaining rain and storm on the opponent's side of the battlefield. Okay, so real quick, please explain this for me. I couldn't get my head around this, so maybe explain it in a more simple term for me.
1 word: Craigasm.
What?
I said Craigasm.
Okay,
so that's
what
what you mean. No. Okay, so this card is busted. So not only is it thinning 8 base power, which is insane. So when this card is played or summoned from the graveyard, so whether it's brought out by Sinterf's Right or what else how would you play this? Sinterf's Right.
You could actually do it with the. Yes, we haven't touched on it yet, but
with the other card, yes. We'll say that. You could even do this with Renew if you have Renew. Here's another consideration, but so basically all the stacks of rain and storm on the battlefield, this guy triggers it all at the same time. Like, that's not busted.
Okay, wait.
Right?
So say okay, so I got it. So say if you got storm or rain, for 2 turns, right?
Let's say you have 3 stacks of rain on a row and 2 stacks of storm on the other row. He's gonna trigger all of that all at once and wipe it all out.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay, so the only thing about this card though, right? So obviously that is busted, broken, whatever you want to call it. It's very powerful. Play for an insane amount of points if set up correctly. I already can see people trying to counter this straight away. That's the only downside of this card. So already I'm thinking Xavier Lemons. I'm thinking Vilgefortz Renegade as well.
Mm-hmm.
From Nilfgaard. What else? Osrel. He could play.
Yeah. Squirrel or Osrel, yeah. Bloody Effigy we were talking about. That's a consideration as well. He has an insane point potential. But then, yes, he is very vulnerable for being in the graveyard right away. If your opponent draws Oswald first turn or Lemons, then it's not playing for any value. But if it is allowed to stick,
I don't know if it's gonna stick. To be honest, I really don't know. I honestly think in this next patch we're gonna see Xavier Lemons in pretty much every deck. If your deck doesn't require devotion, he's just gonna be in there just to counter. The stuff with Nilfgaard. Already we have Xavier Lemons for, against Squirtle, and then again for this, because if you're going to play Rogan the Undying, people will just be like, nah, mission abort, we need to get rid of that. So I think that's what
Right.
we're going to see. And I think, I know this card is a lot of value, and people are really excited about this card, but I honestly see this card being so vulnerable that we hardly get to see it played unless your opponent like really doesn't catch onto it and they don't consider that when building their deck. But that's what I see happening, unfortunately.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, to be fair, like if there's not a ton of stacks of rain or storm, then the card's just sitting in the graveyard. It's not something you have to worry about. Um,
It just seems a little. I feel
yeah.
like I've burst your bubble.
No. It's not that. I'm thinking like but like it's like okay, so your opponent sees this card in the graveyard, right? That means they have to
They will see
dedicate
it.
gold or even they have to dedicate a gold right away to answer that if they don't want it to be played later on. So like they have to give up the
Yeah.
squirrel or they have to give up the Xavier right away, and then that also
Squirrel's not
means all your
gold.
other cards are safer. No, I know a squirrel's not a gold, but if you want to play Xavier or Osro or whatever, they have to dedicate that stuff right away,
I mean,
and then you answer it, and then it's done, and then you have nothing to worry about.
I think the Osriel would be good value anyway because it's 8 points, so it's not
Right.
really a super weak Osriel either. Like you could easily get 9 points and then deny your opponent, the value of playing this card. So if it's allowed to
Right.
stick, I mean not allowed, but if it manages to stick, of course this card would be amazing. But again, there's a lot of setup involved. Trying to I don't think there's a way to protect it because, yeah, as you said, if your opponent just catches onto it and they want to commit the Xavier Lemons, even the squirrel, like I think we're going to see quite a few squirrels, even just having one in your hand, in your deck to answer this. I think we'll see people putting squirrels in their deck. But yeah, look, if it's allowed to stay on the board, I mean, allowed to be played, of course, it's crazy. It's crazy amount of points. But it's that trade off. It's high risk, high reward, is what I want to call
Yep.
it.
I mean, like I
So
said, this card is insane. Like if it sticks, it's gonna play for a ton of value. To be able to play, all the stacks of rain and storm at once, it's basically a board wipe. If it comes from the graveyard, most of the time it would probably be a board wipe for a lot of those cards, or it would just set up a lot of damaged units, and that could play with huge value with the location into a bear mentor, or even dagger, whatever. Like this could trigger all of that all at once. This could be like a 50-point card if it sticks.
that's insane. That's so crazy. Just obviously we're doing a rainstorm kind of deck here. That's the kind of package they're going after with this new expansion. And I think for your opponent, it's just points taken off them every single turn, and it could be disastrous if they can't keep up, with the tempo. So I think, yeah, this is scary stuff. I'm not a Skellige player. Like I do play a little bit with the witches because I find that a lot of fun. And I have, to be honest, I haven't done with the rain kind of archetype yet. So I am, if when this comes out, I'm definitely going to try it. I think it's going to be so much fun to play. Not so fun maybe for your opponent trying
Oh
to
yeah,
answer everything, but yeah, definitely. Yeah, as you said, like it feels like Skellige's back, right? It feels like it's going to be potentially a tier 1 deck.
oh yeah.
So
Like I said, this may be the first time we could see rain be right off the bat really good. And like because of the reemergence of AQ, like rain just swallows it all
oh yeah,
up.
I was going to
Yeah.
mention that I forgot. I've been seeing, you know, the Swarm being played so much lately. And we saw in the qualifiers, we saw quite a few of the top 64 playing Swarm decks. It's made a comeback. I vaguely remember it when I started playing, and you know, they would swarm the board with the drones and the talisman. And then that took kind of a backseat for a little bit. Other archetypes got played, and then somehow it made a comeback. I think because of with the nerf with Zoltan. I think with him,
Right.
people played it and then they tried it again and it seemed to work. But you know, the rain storm package, this definitely answers this drones. Like if you've got rain on there or storm, just wipes out the board completely, and it denies your opponent of playing the chimera, even the talisman. They just won't have enough bodies on the board.
Exactly, yeah. Like I say, every time that I've played, you know, the Melusine deck, as long as they never had a Squirrel or an Osril, yeah, Melusine would most likely, or Fomar would just wipe the board out, and they would never go to stick most of their cards because you have the leader going off, you have Melusine going off, and you have Fomar, you know, stacking along with all that storm. It's kind of hard for them to keep it all together, and then you have Dagger as well, beating off all the damage. It's pretty insane for AQ to answer all of that going on all at once, unless they had, you know, some way to get around. Most of the time, you're going to be playing defenders with these new cards because you don't want them all being exposed to Tall Punish.
Defender with these cards that we're speaking of.
Yeah, like Fomar, you want to
Yeah.
protect with Defender. Melusine, you want to protect with Defender. Dagger, obviously. You know, Messenger of the Sea is another card now. That's something that you want to be able to protect. You know, everybody's pretty much runs a Purify now, but like some people who can't answer the Defender, they have to be forced to use like a Tall Punish.
Mhm.
Like I mean, when Melusine came out last expansion, people were, you know, I created a deck where you could play Sigtra's Right 3 times. It's pretty
That's
crazy.
insane.
Well, not play it 3 times. You could play it twice, but
I
you were able to bring her back 3 times, and it's like, okay, she came out round 1, and then you bleed her with round 2, and she's got, you know, 20 base power, and then round 3 she comes back with like 30 base power. So it's like, okay, how do you answer that every round unless you straight up heat wave her right off the bat?
Look, I'm a Nilfgaard player, so it was an instant Yenvo for me.
Yeah, or that too. Yeah, instant invo, you know,
You just
Benson,
take it,
whatever.
just yoink it.
Yep. And even if they dealt with her, it wasn't that big of a deal because you had all your leader still. You had all your other rain spawning cards. You had Fulmar, like Dagger. Like honestly, Melusine hurt when they stole it, but like I was still winning matches with just Dagger with all the damage that I was able to do.
Yeah, I think she gets yoinked as well pretty early on, so her base power is not that high yet.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that. Maybe other players might have, you know, waited till it was like a crazy 30 point and then yoinked it, but I hadn't done that. So only because of so much damage that it would cause if the longer you left it. So I think it just got yoinked straight away. Plus, obviously with the Riot, you were able to replay it again for another round. So it was just better to, you know, nip it in the bud real quick.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I said, when somebody would take it, I was salty. I was like, damn it. But then, you know, it's like, okay, I still have other things left. It's not the end of it. Just don't take my phone mark, you know, or whatever.
Speaking of yoinking and making Melusine stick, let's move on to the next card, which is a legendary. It is Fukusia. I think that's how you pronounce it. I could be wrong.
Yes,
but
that is how it's pronounced.
And she is categorized as a beast. So her ability is deploy. Play a Skellige unit from your graveyard with a provision cost of 10 or less and give it doomed. Then spawn rain on the opposite row with a duration equal to the unused provisions. Okay, straight off the bat, Fukusia and RIOGHAN the Undying, there's something going on there. That's him in the artwork. And she's caressing him ever so gently. But on his tagline, there's a quote there from her that says, "Your life will burn as bright as the love between us." So I'm not 100% familiar with this lore. I'm not sure if you are, Ezra's, but looks like there's something going on between those two.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely getting it on.
I mean, it's not just them two. There's actually 4 people in this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
got the group thing going on. He's a
They've got a
man
group.
of class. Yeah. No, but yeah. So like it says, even in her tagline, like mermaids and sea witches can experience true love only once in a lifetime. And Fukusia wasted her only time on a human. So yeah, like they fell in love, and somewhere he probably gained the ability to never die. That was probably the gift she bestowed upon him in the throughout their lifetime together or whatever. So yeah, yeah. I mean, so this effect, it's like I said, this is probably something you weren't around for previously last year. There was a Skellige ability called Second Wind. It allowed you to
Nope.
replay. Yeah, it was pretty insane back then. It allowed you to replay any Skellige unit from the graveyard and
What?
play
So
it again.
was it a leader ability?
Yeah, it was just a leader ability. You could play anything.
So how come they don't have it anymore?
Oh, because it was too powerful. It allowed you to replay
So
a Herald,
broken.
a Morkfar. Yeah, it was broken.
Okay.
If your Herald or Morkfar got answered, you can bring it right back again.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. So yeah, that's basically what this is in card form, but with kind of a cap of 10 or less. So it's kind of like a Skellige devotion. Well, Skellige devoted only renew in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you're also getting rain. So like, if you play Fukusia with RIOGHAN, it's 13 for 13 right away.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're also getting the 2 stacks of rain. So that's
5.
17 points right
Yeah.
away. So yeah, like that's pretty insane. 17 points for 13 right away if you do it on RIOGHAN.
You could also play Melusine again. I've been seeing,
as well.
The Riot being played. So I think if you correct me if I'm wrong. So say if you played Melusine round 1, goes to graveyard, you played Riot, you can bring Melusine back. Do they get doomed if you play Melusine from the? They don't.
No, because Melusine has built-in Veil right away. Signifer's Right does not get doomed.
Okay, this is clownery now. This is just clownery.
Yeah, so Melusine is coming back like at least 4 times in a game.
Oh my goodness, this card. Yeah, so I think this card is like, to me, this is the Skellige Mamuna. Like it's just.
It really is.
It's a bit much.
If it pulls back Mamuna, and she's at 25, 30 base power.
Okay.
You let it stick all around.
So I'm already thinking
she's basically Mamuna.
I need to play Velvet Lemons. I need to play Squirrel, and then I need to play Vilgefortz Renegade. That's what I need to do. Like I need to include all of these in my deck if I'm playing Nilfgaard, because I don't. Yeah, it's funny because the graveyard is not something you don't really pay attention to that much. Like once it's gone, you're like, it's gone. And there's a few cards out, in the game where you have to kind of keep your eye on your graveyard just in case. Like, as you said, Osrel. Now we had like the orbs, and now it's like you have to pay attention to your deck in case your opponent's milling you, or playing Cantarella or Alchemisto, and now you have to look at your graveyard if your opponent's playing Skellige, because they've got this kind of clownery going on. I mean, and Nilfgaard too. Nilfgaard's playing stuff in your graveyard, so it's like I'm looking at so many things at once: my graveyard, my hand, my deck, and if you're playing Syndicate, coin management, and there's so much to think about. So I'm thinking there's like a lot of roping that's going to be going on while people do the maths and do the calculations.
Oh yeah, like I think this card, like it's big, like you said, it's SK Mamuna. It's a scary card, because not only is it point slam, but it's also giving rain. And somebody also, I think when this card was revealed, somebody was saying like, I have an idea, and Spiro was like, okay, that's actually kind of busted. What if you purify Arnulf? Because Arnulf is basically 8 points.
Okay.
No, if you purify the Doom status, it sits in your graveyard.
Yeah.
And because he's technically a Skellige unit, you're bringing back an 8-point unit. Even though it's 11 base power, but it's spawning 3 tokens. And because Arnulf is technically 0 provisions, you're getting 10 stacks of rain.
Okay, stop. I'm gonna cut that. I'm gonna cut this out of the episode so nobody gets any ideas. Because
can you imagine 10 stacks of rain going off all at once with?
I'm already thinking like
Arnulf?
yeah, I'm just thinking like this deck is gonna be. I'm gonna have to answer so many different things that it's gonna be difficult. Plus, I'm gonna have to try and play points myself, trying to stay ahead. Because at the end of the day, what you need is points to stay ahead. But if your opponent's playing things from the graveyard, bringing back powerful cards, and you've got rain happening, and then it turns into a storm, and you're just like, oh my goodness. So look, Skellige, I don't know. I have no words. I'm not a Skellige player. I might be after this because of how fun this seems. But I don't know if this is balanced. I think a lot of people have been kind of, I don't want to say complaining, but voicing their concerns about how balanced the game is, and I think as much as these cards look great, my personal opinion is I don't know if they're balanced. Like, I don't know if these cards will allow variety within, especially with Pro Ladder. Like, it's just the same kind of tier 1, tier 2 decks that you see over and over again, and it can get tiring. So I don't know if it's balanced. Definitely this looks like a lot of fun. I'm not gonna say it's not fun, but do you think it's balanced, Ezra's? Like, be honest. And I know you love Skellige a lot, but like, come on, are these cards balanced?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, holy crap. Like, we saw Mamuna, and like when this card was revealed, chat, or like I said in Spiro's chat, they were like, "Uh-oh, don't look at it, don't look at it. It's Mamuna," and he's like, "No, you're joking. It's not another Mamuna type card." And then when he saw it, he was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
He's like, "Why? What were they thinking?"
Yeah, it's I mean, they're fun. There's no, yeah, as I said, no denying that. But I don't know. I really don't know if this is balanced. I'm looking at, there's just so many things to answer as if you're playing against this deck. And I don't know if it'd be much fun for you as an opponent. So, trying to.
I don't think so. Like,
I don't think so.
if
Yeah.
this, okay, picture this as like a mirror going off. Wow, like if this is like obviously this is going to be a mirror day one, but Fukusia doesn't have to bring back RIOGHAN because like you said, if graveyard hate meta is going to be happening, it's Xavier, Squirrel, Vilgefortz, whatever. Fukusia bringing back a Herkia or a Great Sword, whatever. If all this stuff is being played back, it's kind of crazy, like how many stacks of rain you could put on, and then you can convert with Fomar. Like Fomar, on average, was only getting maybe about 3 to 4 turns of storm. Like now it's up to like you can now with all the stacks of rain, you could have potentially 7 or 8 stacks per turn, or in total now. That's a lot of damage. That's
and then you play Rogan the Undying, and he just slams all of those down.
Slams it all and just wipes their
Wipes
board.
the board, yeah.
In the most ideal scenario, like, yeah. That's like I said. This is insane. Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of clips of people just wiping the board. With this rain storm combination.
Mm-hmm.
And it being like scores of like maybe 200 plus with dagger or something. I don't know. Like it. I can't wait, but I'm also scared to see it.
Yeah, I feel the same. So, with these 4 cards being revealed, what are your final thoughts before we wrap up the show?
Be prepared. That's all I gotta say. Be prepared.
Yeah, I mean...
No, like, I'm excited. Like I said, this is what Skellige needed. It seems like every faction needed to have some playability. It looks like they've kind of took it into consideration that, okay, we can't just have the top 3 factions, Nilfgaard, Monsters, or whatever, Scoia'tael, and, Line Pocket, or Syndicate Line Pockets, be the same factions that everybody plays with every season, and then everybody complains about how stale it is. It looks like they're giving every faction playability with this, which is nice.
Yeah, I feel obviously this, so far from all the reveals that we've reviewed, by far this one's the strongest one. We still have Monsters to review and Northern Realms, so being a Northern Realms convert lately. I've been playing a lot of Northern Realms Siege Commanders. I actually got to 2500 MMR yesterday, which is the first time I got to 20. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I was really surprised. So I'm keen to see what they come up with Northern Realms. So let's see. Maybe Northern Realms might have some broken. I don't want to say broken. I want
All
to
right.
say powerful cards come out. So and then maybe next patch everyone gets a bit of love and it's going to be super super fun to play. At the moment I think potentially Skellige with these cards in front of us, I think Skellige might be OP next patch, but again we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Hey, just so you guys know, for all the listeners out there, day one, I am going to challenge Emil with this deck, and we're going to see who wins.
Maybe we'll record it and put it on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll record
See
it and
what
we'll
kind
make
of
it a match. Yeah.
yeah, let's do that. I'll
It'll be
play
a
Nilfgaard and
rematch of our tournament series.
I'll yoink and I'll also swap with the
No, 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 no,
Wilberforce
no.
Renegade.
No,
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 no, no,
no,
no.
no, 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 no. Let me have my fun. No bully.
Amazing, Ezra. Well, thank you so much for joining me today with reviewing your favorite faction. Obviously, this has been such a blast. And we can't wait to review monsters next. So that's going to come up for next episode. But yeah, amazing. This was really fun for me. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I mean, obviously this is your favorite faction, so
Yes.
you can't wait to play this. So this is going to be lots of fun.
Yes, I cannot wait to bully all the YouTube players out there.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you on our next episode.
All right, bye, everybody.